Sure. So the Posted Workers Directive initial aim is to further integrate the European single market. So the idea is to enable workers from one country to be temporarily posted in another country on specific services.
And who are they posted by?
By their home country company. And the main idea being that they are subject to labor market conditions and rules in the country that they're posted to. So that includes the salary of that country, but they need to pay, or their employers pay employees social contributions in their home country.
So do they not have access to social benefits in the country in which they are staying?
So in theory, they should have, but often there is a lack of control and there's a lot of fraud. It's very difficult to essentially control whether they do. And for example, very concretely, what happens is that they're being paid the minimum wage according to law, but then their employers subtract from that their housing costs or the costs of living, essentially, and ultimately they gain much less. The problem that also creates on the receiving country's end is that they are more competitive on the labor market because they're essentially cheaper, even though they're in theory being paid the same as the local employees. And that's where the competitiveness comes from. And that's a problem for countries like especially France, but also Germany, and which is why Emmanuel Macron is really pushing for reform at the European level.
So why is he so against it? I mean, we can see that it's controversial for a number of reasons. But apart from the employers in the host country, who does it benefit? It doesn't sound like it benefits many people apart from those employers.
Right. It does benefit the employers in the host country, but even the employers in the receiving country because they have access to cheaper labor force and hence are more competitive. That's one reason. And the other reason that this is advantageous is for these workers from Eastern European country. They are exploited according to the standards, I'd say, in France or Germany, but they still are able to earn much more than they would be able to earn at home, which is the first reason that they accept to come and to work under these conditions. And they benefit from that, as well as their host countries, because their nationals, their citizens are employed and they pay contributions in their home country.
So their own citizens cost more than these temporary workers. Now, some European countries, notably in the East, are in favor of this system. How do you explain that?
Yes, so the main reason is the fact that they can post their workers abroad and they earn, a living, but they are paying contributions at home, and these countries benefit from that. There is a division within Eastern Europe. Countries like Bulgaria and Romania that Emmanuel Macron is visiting, they are much more favorite to reform. Poland and Hungary remain opposed at this stage. And the main issue mostly right now in terms of the reform is to reduce the amount of time that a posted worker can go abroad and be posted in his job. The current directive that's in place accounts for 36 months, right? 36 months. The European Commission wants to reform it down to 24, but Emmanuel Macron, for example, wants to push for 12. So these are obviously very significant differences.
Do you believe that Macron has enough support to get his reforms to pass?
Right now, it looks like he did gather support from these crucial countries such as Bulgaria and Romania. It might be enough to overcome a blocking minority in the European Council. Traditionally, it's always better to do by consensus, but if need be, they might not do that.
Thank you so much, Famke Krumbrüller, for joining us here on set at France 24. You are a political risk analyst and partner at Open Cities. Thank you so much for joining us.